Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast here with Feven, Mikey. Guys, I'm bored. I am very bored.
Oh, that was a wait.
Oh, no, not of this podcast.
Oh.
Of the morning race.
That's an aggressive start.
I'm sorry, but I just had to say it. Singapore Grand Prix. Congratulations, Lando Norris. Dominating win. But honestly, what happened in that race?
Okay, to be honest, I did
Feven,
fall asleep.
I'm gonna rat you out. You had a snooze midway through there.
Okay, it is early. I had a late night, didn't sleep well, and like as soon as Lando had like a 20-second gap. I was like, and not much was happening. There was I would say like 10 or 20 laps where there were. I don't even think anyone pitted.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of not much happening. Yeah. So I did snooze. And maybe it's not boring.
It was kind of like Singapore last year, though, when you think about it. Except the only action we got last year were really in like the final 15 laps.
Yes.
You get into a DRS train and you get trapped. But it was still a great race if you break it out into little sections. Like Lando got a great start.
Yeah.
I love Albon's comments on what's his name?
Colapinto.
That's the guy. Yeah. And his little dive bomb, but he made up some good moves. A lot of people went wide. Even though Lando had such a dominant lead, you know when Max leads, you're kind of confident, like he's got the back. I've never been more nervous for a 20-second lead. And then he locks up. He nearly breaks his front wing. He actually did damage it a little bit. And then come to the closer end of the laps, he even clipped the wall where Russell took
overtaking
himself out
back
last year.
markers.
So like, I've never seen a lead so much and been so nervous at the same time, being like, please bring it home.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have the best track record, so
No, especially with that. But I mean, Lando, again, like we mentioned, lap 1. Big stat coming in. Literally F1 TV even said this.
Yeah.
5 races where he started pole, but was not the leader coming out of lap 1. He broke that curse.
he had a great start.
Good man.
Good reaction
Great
time.
start. But yeah, like you mentioned, I don't know why he was pushing that aggressively to overtake back markers. It was a little bit weird to
I
see
don't
that.
know.
I don't think he was. So he had such momentum. He was pushing. I think the tire was only supposed to go, I think, was it 31 laps or something? He was already 38 laps in. He was pushing the tire too much.
Yeah.
But even then, when he did catch up to the back markers, he was just going on the dirty line. Even his engineer was been like, look, slow down, just take it easy.
Yeah.
But I think he also was trying to cover the 28-second pit stop. Mm-hmm. So if he did need to pit for a soft and then get the fastest lap, which he'd already managed to do on his hard tires, now in the end, Daniel actually got the fastest lap to take it away, which actually helped Max. But before that happened, Lando had covered the pit stop. But
yeah.
I mean, I think mentioning last year and the reason why last year stuck out so much was it was the first time we started to see the fall of Max. Oh, not the fall,
or
but
Red Bull crack.
Just a crack in the team, and that was the first time like we really saw Max struggle at Red Bull as a whole, as a team, and we saw like hope that F1 was back and more competitive, and everybody kind of was within 1 to 2 second gap this year. Seeing Lando kind of emulate what Max had like at the front half of the last year's season. It was like, oh no. And I like that we're still competitive, like, because the rest outside of Lando, everybody else was still pretty close.
Not really, though. Like, Max was like 15 seconds ahead of Oscar.
yeah, but
It was like brutal.
But I think Max had, so you know the way like in free air, like if you're in dirty air, especially in Singapore, you get held up. Lando had such a dominant lead because he could save his tires.
Yep.
Lando pulled away so much from Max. Max essentially was leading his own race.
Correct.
Where he had free air and he had good tires.
Yeah.
But as far as fast wise, Leclerc had an unbelievable race. He could have challenged Lando if he'd actually got out if he had a better qualifying.
Yeah.
And Piastri, we've said it before that we sometimes feel like he doesn't have the best racecraft. He did insane. He passed both Mercedes in that same corner. I was very impressed with Piastri today.
So when I snoozed and then like woke up and before I fell asleep, like, Piastri had just been at like P6 or P7. And I like woke up and I'm like, wait, how did we get to P3? What happened? Like I was really, really surprised by him, and I went back and rewatched, and like his overtake, like he's just such a phenomenal driver and the best thing that McLaren did.
Yeah.
But outside of their upgrades.
Yeah.
We got to give kudos to Max as well. Very difficult car to drive, obviously, and for him to take that P2, points mitigation, right?
Oh, he needed
Take
that.
a look at the championship. It's going to come down to a couple points here and there. Daniel did him a huge service with the fastest lap at the end, but 18 points to get that at the end of the race, I think you'll be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
And what a way to go for Daniel if this is his last race.
Yeah.
Helping out an old buddy, an old teammate.
So is it his last race? Like, what's the discussion?
The rumor is it is, and the post-race interview, he was very emotional.
Yeah,
he was very emotional.
Broke
He
my
was.
heart.
Yeah.
I genuinely, and like a lot of the TikToks that were being created after, it was just all the montages, all the great moments. I really feel for him, and like his return to F1 wasn't as great as anticipated, and there's just such young, better talent, and
there's not even much positive to take away from the
I
weekend.
know.
Qualifying was bad. It was disheartening as well when you could hear Yuki screaming on the radio, "Let me by, let me by." Now I know they were in different tire strategies, but you kind of want at least Daniel to finish on top.
Yep.
Pat beating his teammate at least for the last one.
Yeah.
At least he got the fastest lap.
Yeah.
But disappointing end. If it is the end.
If it is the end, exactly.
I
Which
don't
we'll find out
know.
tomorrow.
What do you think?
I think it is the end. I think
Yeah.
Liam Lawson will be announced. But who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is a total 180. Maybe Red Bull looks at it. I don't know why they would look at this weekend though and say, "Oh, Daniel should stay." There was, like you said, really nothing from the weekend that was overly special.
It's a tight track as well. Like, you'd be nearly better off after USA, which is 3 weeks' time.
Correct.
That's a proper racetrack.
Yeah.
Let's
but
see what you
isn't
can
it because of when the contract renegotiation timing wise? That's like, I think that's what he alluded to in some interview I watched.
maybe.
I think he's like, that's just how it lands. It lands on this weekend. It's not chosen based on performance, I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I read. I don't know. Somebody fact checked me, but I think it doesn't have anything really to do with the track or it's just probably a contract timing.
Yeah.
But like still, we've gained a really strong Aussie, so we might.
Yeah.
Maybe it's two. You can't have two, maybe.
Yeah. On a side note, what did you feel like Lewis starting on the softs compared to 90% of the field in mediums? Like, was that a tad aggressive? Because it did ruin his race.
It ruined the race. I mean, it's not the first time. I think Mercedes typically always puts their drivers on different strategies at the beginning. Like, it's not the first time that Russell and Lewis have been on different strats right away. But at the end of the day, like, I think it was also bold enough. Like, if he had gained 2-3 spots, which was the hope, and obviously he didn't, he probably could have. He's the type of driver who could take a far longer than anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think that was the gamble, and I think it was a fair gamble. Obviously, in retrospect, it didn't work out, but candidly, like, Lewis didn't look on the ball at all the entire weekend. Qualifying, fair enough. Like, he did a great job in Q3, but otherwise, like, he was complaining about the car and the balance and everything, the tire degradation. Like, he was complaining about everything throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I loved Russell's comment. He's like, I've got oversteer and understeer.
Yeah.
It's like he seems to be struggling.
And he's been complaining about the Pirelli tires quite a bit. Even the last race in Baku, he was like, it's frustrating. He obviously said he can't speak openly about it because he doesn't want to get fined. But
LOL.
I know, right?
Like, meanwhile, Max is like doing community service.
We got to
taking
talk
a-
about Max's press conference. We got to talk about that.
But Russell complained and said these tires are very unpredictable. Like,
So they're
it's
not
hard.
consistent within the
Not
compounds.
consistent at all, even from practice sessions. He's like, how do I go from like a hard tire, that didn't feel as fast, to then in the race, I slap on the hard tire. I'm the second fastest driver in Baku in the second stint.
Yeah.
He just didn't understand it. So interesting, and I guess that does add a gamble for me. I like that because it adds some chance and randomness to F1, which is good, but it's probably frustrating if you're part of the team and if you're a driver.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel for him, but also, I mean, if it had worked out.
Yeah. Oh, he would have been looked at a hero. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't pan out that way. And sorry. And where did George finish?
4th.
Yeah.
Kept Charles behind.
Ahead of.
Charles. Yeah. He kept Charles
and then
behind.
it was.
No, Lewis was out.
Lewis was like
it was
P7,
Lando, Verstappen, Piastri.
Oh, no, P6.
Yeah, P6.
He
That's
split the
amazing.
Ferrari.
And he was third, like, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough one.
I was really rooting for him.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking, okay, there will be some sort of
Safety car.
Yeah. We didn't have one.
Nope.
We had
That's crazy. We
two
haven't had-
retirements, right?
Yeah.
Two retirements.
One. I thought one retirement.
No, Albon
right?
and Magnussen.
Magnussen at the very
Yeah,
retired.
near the end. Two retirements, but they were very much like boxed. They pitted.
Yeah.
There was nothing that like could have shaken up the tire strategy, that could have allowed for a lot of the, opportunistic, we always find George opportunistically there when these these things do happen. So I'm like, Hamilton, maybe he was ready, but didn't pan out.
But it is wild, though, that George was fourth, given that if something did happen to the top three, he would have snuck onto the podium again.
He
just finds himself in those situations.
Yeah.
I genuinely think Piastri and George are actually the most consistent of the season this year.
Yeah.
Like they're probably, I have to look at the numbers, but Piastri has definitely scored and out like the most consistently in the last.
Well, he's also been the only driver, I believe. Again, don't fact check me here, but I think I saw it where he's the only driver that's made Q3 every race.
Yes.
Piastri's so consistent, and when he does lead the race, you don't get nervous. You kind of know he has it. Like when he was battling Leclerc last weekend, there was confidence there.
Yeah.
Last weekend was a good race.
Yeah.
Other stuff too, Max community service, that was hilarious.
So what does he do? What does he have to do? Like pick up garbage?
I don't know.
I think he'll be staying back picking up garbage. I think that's what they're doing. But I love the way they were commenting on like you can't curse, and then as soon as it was after, and he just kept it. The 2-word answer, loved it. Like, fair play.
It was cool to see Lando and Lewis also be like, Lando was like, this is BS, and Lewis was like, I hope Max doesn't do the community service.
Yeah, Lewis.
Because Lewis has also been on the victim side in terms of the FIA going after him for jewelry, for example, 2 years ago.
But how did they resolve that? Did he have to do community service?
No, he didn't have to do anything. He just kept wearing jewelry. He literally wore an entire stud, and then he wore 5 watches to the press conference.
He had like chains.
He's like, you want to see petty? I will be Queen Petty. Yeah. I loved how petty Max got, because that's genuinely how I would have reacted. And
I've more respect for Max
did
than
the
I've ever
press
had.
conference outside?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He brought all the reporters outside, was like, I'll answer all your questions outside of this press conference room. I love that.
But he was so respectful for the reporter as well, and said, it's not you that I'm being rude to, it's the overall. And no, Max, fair play. Fair play.
Yeah.
They're getting too strict. Like you're an athlete, they're mic'd up.
Yeah.
But they were also I don't remember a harsh reaction like this to other drivers, and there's always cursing,
in their own language too. That's the point Max brought up.
Yeah.
Sometimes drivers will curse in their own language, but they're not taken to that level. I was also mentioning this before. I'm like, again, very hypocritical at the FIA. They go criticize people for swearing, and then yet you host your Grand Prix at countries with terrible human rights records.
Well,
come on. Like, what sort of league are you running here? Let the drivers be themselves. If they're swearing and people have a problem with them, they'll face their fans in their own way.
Yeah.
But as a sport,
they're responsible for what comes out of their mouth.
As a sport, don't audit what your personalities are doing, especially when they've gotten you this far. Like, they've made F1 this popular.
Yeah.
Right? The show like Drive to Survive wouldn't operate well if personalities weren't showing their true character.
Imagine Gunther's what does he say?
Wankers.
Yeah.
He even tweeted that. He tweeted that.
Imagine he wasn't able to freely communicate in the way that he wanted to, or any of them. It wouldn't we wouldn't know these, not that we know them well, but we wouldn't know the characteristics and have serious fandoms and interest and passion behind these drivers.
That's also why we watch. It's also why we watch, because you see the characteristics. You see the passion. It's also, that's why you watch it, because you wanna hear their raw reaction.
And who are we protecting?
I don't know. The kids? Question mark.
Have you seen kids in school? Have you seen what's on social media? I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I
think it's a valid point.
I don't know if censoring athletes is the move.
It's not the move.
And he portrayed that.
2 quick things I want to talk about before we talk about our next race coming up. I want to talk first about Hülkenberg in the points.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We've seen that. He qualified great.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And he started the race really well, too.
He managed his race really well.
Yeah, he passed Oscar.
Yeah.
Right away. Obviously, Oscar got him back later in that first lap. Yeah, but it's incredible to see that Hülkenberg is in the points and that Haas is actually looking better now on a Sunday than it did before.
Yeah.
Because typically they'd qualify well and then just get eaten alive.
Yeah.
Now they can actually, they can kind of hang around.
I really want to get into understanding what they changed. What not just about the car, but have they changed anything in the team? Obviously, there were team changes last year. They seem like a very different team. They've come alive in a way, right?
Yeah.
Even with Magnus, what did he race? Oh, he didn't race last year.
Behrman last weekend.
Last week. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But he raced this week, and even though he had a retirement, I do think the 2 drivers are really strong. There's a cohesion within the team that you just haven't seen in the last few years.
No, Haas are doing well this year. They really are. They're giving it to Williams. Williams are doing a lot to try and battle him. And Albon was unlucky this weekend. Williams are also making really good moves.
Oh, yeah.
And like
Franco. You got to call him Franco, but
Franco, like, unbelievable. Very impressed with Franco.
Yeah.
Like, he's winning a lot of fans. And, like, there's a lot of rumors now that he might take the stake seat.
Well, sadly, and I'm glad you brought that up, because the other thing I wanted to mention is apparently Valtteri is getting re-signed. So Racing News posted this. Autosports confirmed it, that a 1-year deal is going to be given to Valtteri for stake. I don't understand why when, Franco and Gabriel Bortatello are available.
Yeah.
But congratulations, Valtteri Bottas.
So wait,
So Franco's out then. There's no other open seats then?
For now.
Who's on the other seat for...
Hulk.
Oh, yeah, Hulk. Yeah.
So Valtteri, and that means Joe is out of F1, which is sad, but...
Who's our team drivers? I've had
Ocon
Jack
and
Doohan.
Oh,
Jack
no.
Doohan and
Jack,
Gasly.
yeah.
Jack Doohan and Gasly.
Yeah.
And the Haas
Gasly?
drivers now are Ocon.
Okay.
Ocon has gone to Haas.
Yeah, with Behrman.
With Behrman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So pretty.
So there's
pretty well.
there are no other seats.
No.
And
Pretty
Franco's doing such a good job.
I know.
But I would hate to see Bottas out of the
No, I think it's the same argument for Daniel. You can't have it both ways.
No, you can't.
I think we give it a year, as you said. Like,
February.
actually, wait, hang on. When is Audi coming in? It's not, it won't be 2020. So it's going to be the same as this year for stake, no?
But that's what I mean. There's no point in keeping Bottas on for a year and then replace him with a junior in another year. Let Franco get more experience, so then he's not going to be a rookie anymore.
I would imagine Bottas would be, I'm probably saying his name wrong, would be more expensive to keep.
Of course he
Probably.
would.
Yeah, he better.
Franco's going to pay for the seat. Bottas is going to expect a paycheck.
Yeah.
So why would that make sense? I don't know.
We'll need to look into that. I think we need to dive into the contract.
yes,
we need to dive
you
into.
need to dive
no,
into
honestly,
But was that
understand
confirmed
why.
about Bottas, or is that just...
So like Autosport and Racing News have posted it, and it's a 1-year deal. But again, it's not being posted by F1, so who knows? It might not be signed yet. But I think the offer was given. The offer has been extended.
that's... interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Austin's coming up in 3 weeks, by the way. What a summer break again that we get.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a 3-week break.
3 weeks. 3 week break.
What are we going to do in that time? I don't even know if I'm going to see you guys then, right? No.
Yes, we have nothing else to talk
I have
about outside
nothing
of
to do.
this.
Yeah, like my whole friendship with you guys revolves around
F1.
This. No, not even F1, just track limits.
3 weeks. 3 weeks is a big gap. That's why, bring it back to Daniel Ricciardo. That's why if they did can him, it gives Liam Lawson maybe time with the team. They might do a bit of testing. Can you test on the mids in the break?
I think you can put a test in for a 2022 car, but you can't test the current car, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not an official break.
But also, like, there's no reason they would want to test him. They just probably want to put him in the sim.
Yeah,
right?
true.
You already
true.
confirmed, give him more sim time. But yeah, work with the team. Austin's a great track, though, and I think we're going from a street circuit now back to
a race.
A racing track, and it's going to be exciting to see certain cars that did really well, like, the Ferraris, to see how they perform, right? Because those upgrades that they brought in Baku, we've never seen it on a real track.
No.
Like a proper racing track. So I'm curious to see if they can do well, and I'm curious to see if Lando can have a back-to-back wins. He hasn't done that yet. He has not done that yet. So the consistency will be important.
I don't know. I think Piastri will give him a run for his money.
I think Piastri needs to be the teammate now and really defend Max, because Max will, even though with a bad car, he'll get up in top in qualifying, but you need someone to challenge Max and let Lando run away with it. And if Piastri and Max start fighting, that's when the damage can happen. Like, Max just needs to have a bit of a DNF or have something happen to him, which can happen, and Lando's right back up there, because now there's 50 points in it. Yeah. And we got 6 races or something to go.
Yeah, 50
Not all, I think.
Yeah, it's like a pretty tight gap.
Like again, if Max keeps doing what he's doing, he'll take it. Like, Lando does need to win, and he needs Max to finish outside the podium.
And Zach Brown coming into this weekend for Singapore, he said papaya rules, but at the same time, he said even if Oscar was running in 1 and Lando was in 2, they wouldn't have switched cars.
That's why I'm thinking. I think Piastri will, I would imagine the same thing would happen in Austin.
Yeah.
And
but I don't think so. I think that changes now. I think 25 points from this race.
That changes.
Coupled to 15. I mean, I know it's only 10 as the delta, but I think it's showing that Lando is gunning after Max. And you need to, at a certain point, be incredibly focused on the Drivers' Championship, because we know McLaren's probably got the constructors wrapped up,
Yes.
assuming both their drivers consistently score in the top 5.
Yeah.
If they keep up with top 5 finishes, they'll be fine.
Well, Max has no teammate, so
Exactly, right? Perez is what? He scored 1 point today.
Yeah, he got in the points.
I don't even want to. Let's not even talk about him.
oh, but the Choco segment is canceled.
Yeah, it is canceled today.
Damn.
No Choco segment. But
Okay.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting. This is maybe where we see if the lines will be drawn. If both the McLaren drivers qualify P1, P2. I hope they do, because that will make it fun.
What do you think? We're curious in the comments below. Who do you think will take the Austin Grand Prix? Will it be Max? Will it be Lando? Will it be Charles? Or will it be someone else? Let us know in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.